Hey, hey, hey! It's the first ever real estate marathon. I'm your host, Jazz Takhar. Our next guest, you heard me speak about it not too long ago. Justin brought it up. He spoke about a project, a building where he's listing it for $599 and he's going to be selling it for probably around $750, $780. Now, he's going to be listing it. That means he's on the seller's side. That's the for sale sign that you see is going to be from Justin Conoco. Okay, but the buyer that's going to be purchasing that is going to be getting into a multiple offer situation. A bidding war is what they call it on the street. So I had to bring in the superstar on my team, the 33 realtors. I mentioned it, Simos mentioned it, Laura mentioned it. We have 33 realtors on our team. I had to bring in the top expert on our team. She's just a beautiful, beautiful soul, someone that I love having conversations with, really because of the experience that she brings to the table. And more importantly, and for today's conversation, the experience she brings in winning bidding wars and how to win bidding wars. That's what we're going to be talking about. It's my girl, Jennifer Popo. What's happening?
Hey, Jazz.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Welcome to the arena.
Yes.
Do you like it?
I'm very impressed.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is,
I
yeah.
like it too. I have a lot of fun with. I had a lot of fun with the team. We obviously have the marathon going on. Jennifer, how long have you been in the business?
14 years.
14 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, the reason I really wanted to bring you on today is because the amount of clients that you work with that I introduce you to, the amount of clients that you have in your Rolodex that you've worked with in all these years. And you work in specifically, correct me if I'm wrong, but specifically you focus kind of in the Toronto proper address, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And in the Toronto address, in Toronto proper, we see a lot of bidding wars happening. Okay, and so let's talk a little bit about why bidding wars even happen. Before we talk about how to win them, what's the strategy for our investors? Because a lot of investors are going to get into bidding wars and they're going to say, "I'm paying over value." No, you're just paying over asking, and the asking price to me is always irrelevant.
Right.
They should all be listed for $1 if I had anything to do with it, because then we actually have to look at the value, right? But why do they happen?
Well, they happen because sellers, it's a strategy that sellers and the seller's agent will use to try and generate enough of an interest.
So, okay, let's walk that through. So I want to sell my house or my condo. You're coming in and saying, okay, Jazz, I'm going to list your property. So I want to have the for sale sign. So you're the listing agent.
The listing agent, correct.
And then how does that conversation go? So,
well, we could decide. It's a conversation that we're having.
Yes.
We can decide at that time whether we want to just put it on the market at market value and see what happens. The other strategy would be let's list it below market value, and see if we can generate enough interest. So we put it up on the market. Let's say we keep it on the market for about a week. It's priced below market value, so you're going to have a ton of buyers coming.
So let's say market value. We'll use some fictitious numbers, and I know the situation's always a little different. We're going to try our best. 700,000 is the market value. So you might on purpose list it for,
say, 650.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
649.
To create that sense of urgency.
Right.
Okay. You list it for a week.
Yeah. And then you have an offer date.
Okay.
And on that date is when you're hoping that you get multiple buyers bidding for that property.
Because if there's more than one person, or if there's 4 people, the more the merrier, obviously, for the seller.
For the seller.
So now market value 700,000. We've listed it for 649, 990, 650.
Sure.
Comes the offer date. We're hoping the seller and you as their agent are obviously hoping to sell it for a lot more than 650.
Correct.
Okay. Now I want you to put the hat on. Okay. Now you're protecting the buyer in this situation. What are some ways for the buyer or the investor, the purchaser, to win out in that situation?
Okay. So representing the buyer.
Yeah.
You would have to do your due diligence ahead of the offer.
What does that mean?
So that means, for example, you want to submit an offer on offer date that has little or no conditions.
Okay.
If possible.
What are some normal conditions that you normally would see?
Right.
If there wasn't a multiple offer situation, like if there wasn't a date set, and then we'll talk about obviously not having them.
Okay. So the one that comes to mind is financing.
Right.
Most buyers will put in the offer, it's conditional upon them obtaining financing for 5 days.
Yes.
But what that tells the seller is if they're not able to obtain the financing, then there's no deal on the table.
Right.
So if you know that you're entering into a multiple offer situation, you want to go sort out your financing first.
Okay.
Right?
And not have that condition.
Not have that condition.
Okay.
I mean, it'll only make your offer stronger.
Right.
And if you have to put it in, then maybe just shorten the amount of days. So it's not 5 days, maybe it's 3 days.
Got it.
Right?
And maybe even a day?
Maybe even a day.
Best case scenario, nothing.
Best case
from a financing perspective.
Exactly.
So what would a buyer or I'm going to use the word purchaser because like when I say buyer, I know I'm also talking to a lot of investors. So I'm just going to use the word purchaser.
Sure.
So when the purchaser, what are they saying to their mortgage representative, broker, or somebody at the bank to get rid of that condition?
Well, they would tell their mortgage broker that this is the property.
Yeah.
We provide them with the MLS listing, so they know exactly what property they're trying to vie for.
Yeah.
So they would go to the broker, show them the listing, and tell them that they're trying to put an offer in with no conditions.
Right.
So they want to get pre-qualified.
Got it.
A pre-approval, I should say.
Right.
Pre-approval.
Right.
Right. So they know that the mortgage broker will run all the numbers, so they know exactly what they can qualify for and what their payments will be. So they're satisfied so that they can make an informed decision when they're ready to.
And I love that about you because you're always using that word, making an informed decision.
Yeah.
Your job, and like you and I, and I was talking about it with Justin, like Justin and I are from totally different markets. I'm not sure if you know Justin, but he's from London. So. And so we share a lot of successes and failures, what works well, and so on and so forth. But even you and I, obviously, we're on the same team. So it's like everything I tell you, I want you to succeed and vice versa. That you always say, Jazz, my job as a realtor is to give everyone the facts.
That's right.
And let them make the informed decision.
Exactly.
So financing condition, get rid of. What's another condition?
Typically, it could be home inspection if it's a freehold property.
Yep.
Generally, what happens if the seller or the seller's agent is anticipating multiple offers, what they tend to do is do an inspection of the property,
like a pre-listing, got it,
and make that available to the buyers.
Can I ask you something, Popo? And sometimes I do reference Jennifer as Popo. It's just this is like we've been together for a very long time.
We have.
When you see those inspection binders on the table, that's what you're talking about. The pre-inspection. What's your how much do you trust it? How much you don't? Like, what's your thoughts around that? Because now you're protecting CMOS as the buyer.
Right.
So I want to know, like, how much do you as the agent protect? Like, what's your strategy around that?
Well, if we have time, it's available to the buyer.
Right.
He has an opportunity to look at it, and he can discuss it with his own home inspector.
Right. So you can actually still order in your own home inspection.
You can order your own home inspection. You can take the report because generally they give you a copy of the report if you want it, and you can review it and have a discussion with your own home inspector.
What's the cost of a home inspection on average?
Around $350 plus tax, depending on the size of the home.
And if you need a home inspection done right now, you need a home inspector. It doesn't matter wherever you are in the country. Okay, to send us an email, info@reccanada.com. Tyler Walburn / Director of Real Estate Concierge Services is standing by right now to make those introductions. And if you want to work with Jennifer specifically, send that email, info@reccanada.com. She is our multiple offer expert in all things real estate all over the city of Toronto. That's why we have her here, part of the marathon. Send an email at info@reccanada.com and let Tyler know that I want to work with Jennifer because I'm going into a multiple offer situation. She does those in her sleep. And if you want her to look at your condo, to list your condo in the Toronto area, that's something that she'll eat for breakfast. Now, let's go back into the finance condition, the home inspection. Now, let's say if it's a condo, is there another condition we might be able to get rid of at that time?
So status certificate.
Got it.
So
what is the status certificate first?
So it's like the Bible of the condominium.
Okay.
It talks about the finances, the reserve fund. It stipulates any outstanding work orders or deficiencies. So the important thing about the status certificate is it's a document that the lawyer reviews. We want the lawyer to look at it because we want to make sure that there's nothing in the status certificate that's going to affect the buyer's condo fees.
Well, so is it the condo fees, for example, that would? Okay.
Yeah, the condo fees. The monthly condo fees that they pay.
Yep.
So let's assume there's an assessment coming up.
Okay.
Maybe the underground garage, parking needs to be replaced. That's going to cost millions of dollars.
We're gonna see this in the status report. You normally, if it wasn't being set up for a bidding war, like a multiple offer situation, you would make it conditional for the lawyer to review it. Okay. So what do I do now?
In those cases, not all the time, but if a seller anticipates a lot of offers, they will order the status certificate and have it readily available for the buyer.
Okay. So and so we would review it ahead of time with the lawyer. And how quickly can a lawyer review it?
A day.
A day. So it's really if you see the property today, August 15th, they're taking offers. There's usually like a day, isn't there? Like I noticed that on Emma. No, I mean, like, is it like usually like on a Tuesday, Wednesday or something? Is there anything special about that? Or it's just me? It's any day, right?
I think it's any day.
It's any day that you see. Okay. And so say it's happening on Wednesday, we can get this status report sent to the lawyer and then they can review it within the day.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So we got as many conditions as possible not on this offer.
Right.
That's first and foremost. Yes. Go in
as clean as possible.
Clean, and I love that word, right? Because I was about to say go in firm as possible, but that's such real estate jargon, and I apologize for it, guys. It's been 15 years for me, so sometimes I do use a lot of jargon, and I apologize for that. The term that I love that you use, a clean offer. There's a Schedule A. You have the agreement of purchase and sale. The first 4 or 5 pages is majority, other than the first page, is the purchase price, the deposit, the closing date. All the other pages are mumbo jumbo until it gets to that Schedule A. And when a seller and their listing agent looks at the Schedule A, you want to have as least amount of writing on it. Sometimes, right? Like for me, I just call it that, right? You want to have the least amount of writing, because psychologically, when the seller and their agent look at that offer, and specifically that Schedule A, the less they see on that Schedule A, the more of the chance that your offer is going to get accepted over somebody else's offer. Going back to that first page, I spoke about purchase price. Yes, you can overpay for a home, and sometimes, Jennifer, talk to me about this and talk to the marathoners about this. Like, is it always the highest price wins?
No, not always.
Talk to us about that, because I find that very interesting.
It's not always. Sometimes it's about, it could be the terms.
Okay.
It could be the closing date.
So sorry, when we say terms, we mean like all those conditions and
all
stuff.
those conditions.
Got it. So closing date?
And it could be the closing date.
How does the closing date play into fact, play?
Well, that's part of the due diligence, I believe. Before you submit an offer, your agent would I would reach out to the selling agent. Try to get as much information. Are you trying
to build like a rapport? Like, I want to go into the inside. Let's give that to the
Yes, I'm trying to build a rapport with the selling agent.
So you're calling the agent. So you as the buying agent, you're protecting me as the buyer.
That's correct.
And let's say it's Simos, okay? We all know Simos is a teddy bear, but he looks like an aggressive guy sometimes, right? So if you were to call Simos and he's the other agent, what are you trying to do in terms of build rapport?
Well, I'm talking about his property, the property that he's got listed for sale. How much we like it. It's a beautiful property. Trying to get an idea of how much activity they've had.
Okay.
Have they had a lot of showings?
You're getting that inside scoop.
Getting that inside scoop.
Does that help after in offers?
Yeah, I think it does.
Good.
It does.
I agree with you too.
It does.
I
Definitely.
agree with you.
And then you want to know if they're anticipating a lot of offers on that particular day.
Yeah.
What type of closing is the seller looking for? Because you want to put that in your office, because you want to satisfy the seller as well as satisfy 100%, the buyer, right?
And that's how you're going to get that deal done. That's we got purchase price. We spoke about closing, and what else is on that as well? Like, well, how else can we try to
position your offer?
Position our offer. I love that. Yeah.
So another thing is your deposit.
Okay.
A strong deposit shows more of a commitment.
Can you tell me what a normal deposit would be?
It's usually 5% of the purchase price.
So $600,000, we're looking at $30,000 as a deposit. That's kind of average in the GTA.
Right.
I mean, multiple offers. I got 6 other people I'm competing about. What would be a strong offer? Deposit.
$100,000 would be a strong deposit.
I like that, because now you're showing Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm really serious about this property. I went and do you go get a check?
Yes, you can. Yeah, that's even better.
Got it.
Yeah, you get a check, and that's like the icing on the cake.
So you go to the bank, you get a certified check, a bank draft, a money order, whatever you do, and say, here's 100 G's. It's going to be yours, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if we get a deal done.
Right.
Is there anything outside of the offer that you can do? Just out of curiosity. Like, what other strategies have you maybe used? Like writing a letter?
Yes, I was just going to tell you that.
Okay, go. Sorry, go.
So just recently, actually, I had a client that was competing with another buyer, just 2 buyers.
Yeah.
My client and another buyer, for a property that needed complete renovations.
Okay.
The other buyer was a builder.
Okay.
So the builder was going to go in and tear it down and build the property and sell it.
Okay.
My buyer was going to go in and rent it. Well, they're going to build it up to a home for themselves.
And live in it.
Okay. So what they did was, we knew that it was a builder that was purchasing. That's for me getting to know that. That's for me talking to the agent.
Talking to the other agent, you get a little feel, got it.
Right. So once we found out it was a builder, we had my client write a letter to the seller, basically saying how much they loved the property and that they were planning to live in it themselves and they love the community and the whole bit.
Sure.
And the seller loved it. And they chose my client based strictly on that letter, because the other offer was actually a little bit higher than my client's offer.
The builder's offer was a little bit higher.
Yeah.
So for everybody's watching or listening right now, I know you're thinking that, it always comes down to money. And I've seen this work. Those types of strategies work. It's not always about the money. So within the offer, yes, it's about going in clean, going in possibly with the best closing date that the seller wants, a higher deposit. There might be stuff like, hey, if the seller was asking for, the seller wanted to maybe take away the barbecue or leave the barbecue. Like, there's always these chattels and fixtures that you can kind of negotiate around as well, trying to satisfy the seller.
Exactly.
But the amount of times I've seen just winning on emotion.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Just making that, writing that letter, having that connection. Sometimes it's actually just like nowadays doing a video.
Yeah.
I think Jazzy would do more of a video because I can't write anything. I'm not a good writer, so I'd probably do a video.
Right.
So Popo, you've been doing this for 14 years, as we mentioned. You've come across so many buyers, investors, and sellers. I want to take it to, again, purchasers and really investors, okay? Because you work with a lot of investors as well. It's not just first-time home buyers or somebody who's moving up and moving down. I know you've sat at their dining room table and you know it's the right home for them to invest in, but they just can't sign or authorize and initiate that deal. What is it? What tip? What strategy? More of a tip, I think it is, that we can help people get over that fear. Because I just know there's somebody watching and listening right now that just has a tough time getting over, like throwing their hat over the fence. And maybe it's from you, like maybe when you got your license, your real estate license, what got you over that hump to just get your license?
I think it's just taking the plunge and doing it. Just taking the plunge and doing it, because you have good guidance. You have your realtor there to help you through the process, right? You have your mortgage broker there to help you with the financing. You have your home inspector there to make sure that the product that you're purchasing doesn't have any deficiencies. So I think it's just taking that plunge. Taking
that plunge and understanding that, and I've said it 1,000 times now, I'm getting up to this week for sure, at least 100 times the team's going to tell me during the marathon that everyone was scared until they did it.
Yeah.
I was scared the first time I produced content. I did not want to be on video. And now I can't, like, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's at least 6 cameras, and I'm still a little disappointed that there's not 2 behind me, right? Because that's just how it goes. Once you get comfortable, once you put those reps in, the muscles start to get bigger. The one muscle that I think we're not using enough is this one. I want you to explore the web, not the www web, but the web in here. Start exploring it. Get out there, meet people, start pushing yourself, push the boundaries. Everything that you've ever wanted is right outside your comfort zone. Now it's time to push through those boundaries and get out of the comfort zone. Popo, I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you so much for doing this. I know how busy you are. You are a top realtor on our team. Out of 33, you do so much for us. You took the time to be part of, I think you wanted to make history too. Because you made history today, yes, you did, because you're on the first ever real estate marathon. We're going on for 12 hours. Popo, thank you so much. Thank you. You want to do a shake? Okay. It's the first shake. It's now I go into hug mode because it's Popo. It's the only person that I would do that with. I love you so much for your time.
Thank you,
thank you.